goes beyond the pale. He will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hired his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say I made. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they shall look today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards, loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now, live to Liberal Dan. Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue of Liberty, the writing you can see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish-based laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk comes the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right.
welcome back to Talk from the Left. That's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. Clicked the wrong button, apparently, and that's why I was hearing myself doubly. Join the conversation, either the chats, either on Twitch or on YouTube. LiberalDanRadio.com is the YouTube channel. Support the show by liking, sharing, subscribing, etc. Comment on all the other videos that you see and you like, because Al Gore needs more rhythm and it helps the algorithm. You can also be a Liberal Dan Radio patron, patreon.com/LiberalDan, patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way gets you there. For monthly support, you could Venmo, Liberal Dan on Venmo, at Liberal Dan, or you can buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the buy me a cider button, or just go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Support the show that way. Super chat, super stickers on YouTube, gift memberships, help other people become Danimals, be a Danimal yourself, or also you can do the same thing with memberships on Twitch, except on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe and it doesn't cost you a dime. So, let's see. Say hello to the people in the chat first. We got lots of the J Squad pouring on in. We had Josh, Jackie, and Jeff here first. Vasantha came in too. Good to see y'all. Let's see. Scroll on down. Amen Arx, good to see you. Jackie, good to see you. Aaron and Jolie, both members of the best mod squad on the planet, are here. Welcome. Steve from across the pond.
It's no Scottish, it's crap.
I said Vasantha already, I believe so. Yes, I did. I think I've hit everybody so far. Of course, welcome to the least watched episode of Liberal Dan Radio of the week, which is the Wednesday show. For obvious reasons, of course, House still going on, but then a lot of people head on over to Boston Brian as well. So it happens. You know, whatever. It is what it is. Oh, wait, that's Donald Trump's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, so... But I appreciate y'all who do come and join me every single week. Love y'all for that. It means a lot to me that y'all are doing so. We got little news on Cassie. She is going to, the tentative release date was Friday. That's been moved to Tuesday, giving her a couple more days to practice some things in occupational therapy, which I think is probably needed. And they will, I guess, reevaluate and see if we need any more days past Tuesday. But at this point, the time that she will get home will be roughly Tuesday, hopefully, and then I'll get to, help her out here at home. So good to see you, Chad. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Hey, P-Dubs, good to see you as well. Let's see. People talking about Chad about having an Aldi party, because apparently 41-year-old Missouri man, or Missouri, depending on where in the state you live, Sidney Jones of Columbia, Missouri, has been charged with first-degree sexual misconduct after allegedly dancing naked in the vestibule of an Aldi grocery store. When the incident occurred around 6:30 p.m. on the 18th, it was in the entrance area. Surveillance video allegedly showed Jones parking a vehicle, entering the vestibule, removing his clothes, and dancing both inside and outside the entrance. He was booked in Boone County Jail without bond. He's been banned from all Aldi's locations. You could just say it simply and say, he's been banned from Aldi's locations, right? It's the easier way to say it. And then he made an initial court appearance on April 20th because of his alleged debauched behavior at the Aldi. So I don't usually see that many people, anybody having that much fun when I go to Aldi. I mean, people might have some fun buying the stuff there, but still, not that much fun, right? The Rantler, you can keep the quarter. Exactly. I ain't touching that quarter. Exactly. Look at all these nuts. The jokes just write themselves, folks. So simple that an 8 or 9-year-old could do it, which I think is how old he was when we went to go Aldi's when we were evacuated for Hurricane Ida. And you want some? We were like, anybody want some nuts? I was talking to the kids on the phone or whatever as we were there, and my youngest son goes, "Aldi's nuts." So yes, I will continue to make such jokes as well because I am a small child at heart. So you're welcome for the stream, P-Dubs. Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you. At Walmart, just another day. Well, Walmart, you typically have the people wearing the same color, like the flesh-colored pants. Like, whatever their flesh color is, they wear the same leggings, so it looks like they're walking around all, Winnie the Poohing it, when in reality they have just the same color leggings as they do their skin color, which is hilarious. Anyway, we do have a bit to play today, which is this week's Hypocrite of the Week. This week's Hypocrite of the Week is Donald Trump. Dementia Don said that the Virginia election to approve redistricting was rigged and complained about how unfair it was that a state that is almost half Republican would have disproportionate seating in the House. Of course, Trump implored the state of Texas to do the same thing last year because he wanted a more friendly Congress. Rules for me and not for thee is a recipe for hypocrisy. To see who next week's Hypocrite of the Week will be, tune in live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central at liberaldanradio.com for more talk from the left. That's right. Yeah, anyway, so that's this week's Hypocrite of the Week. Of course, as typical, it is normally Donald Trump during the Donald Trump administration because he has many, many opportunities and takes advantage of all those opportunities to make himself look like a hypocrite. Yes, yesterday the Virginia redistricting results happened. And the Democrats won 51.5% to 48.6%. 97% of the ballots were counted, according to that time of that AP report. The map redraws the boundaries of Virginia's congressional districts, changes that can directly shape how a party gets represented in the House. With most of the votes counted, it remained close, but the Democratic leading areas helped push it through. The vote is part of a broader national fight over districting. Obviously, Florida Republicans are planning a special session to do just that. Texas already did it. And in the House race in Virginia, 8 districts would be safely Democratic, supposedly. 2 would be competitive but lean Democratic, and only 1 would be safely Republican. So, of course, with these upcoming elections, I am not holding my breath, but potentially optimistic that the switches we've seen and how much these Trump-leaning districts have moved to the left because, double digits leads for Trump and single digit leads for the Republicans, if not an all-out loss for those Republicans by Democrats in those areas. So hopefully those 2 competitive but leaning Democratic seats would be strongly Democratic in this upcoming set of elections. Let's see. So they could win at least 8 and possibly up to 10 of the 11 seats in the House. The shift follows high stakes political battle for $100 million. Ooh, excuse me for my yawn. Of course, Donald Trump, in response, a rigged election took place last night in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. All day long, Republicans were winning. The spirit was unbelievable. I'm surprised he didn't say, like no one ever seen. Until very end, when, of course, there was a massive mail-in ballot drop where I've heard that before, and the Democrats eked out another crooked victory. 6-5 goes to 10-1, and yet the presidential election was very close to a 50-50 split. Of course, he couldn't say he lost Virginia, but it's very close to a 50-50 split. In addition to everything else, the language of the referendum was purposely unintelligible. Unintelligible is a very large word for Donald Trump. I'm thinking maybe he had somebody writing this for him. I don't know. As everybody knows, I'm an extraordinarily brilliant person, and even I had no idea what the hell they were talking about in the referendum, and neither do they. Let's see the courts fix this travesty of justice. President Donald J. Trump, thank you for your attention to the splatter, because I just shit my pants again. Anyway. He didn't add that last part. I added that little bit. Of course, this is why Donald Trump is the Hypocrite of the Week, because back last year, Donald Trump implored the Texas Republicans to redraw the state's congressional maps to create more House seats favorable to his party, part of a broader effort to make the GOP retain control of the House in the midterm elections. The president's directive signals part of this strategy that Trump is likely to trying to avoid a repeat of what happened in his first term, where the Democrats were able to flip the House and put the kibosh on some of his ridiculousness. Not all of it, but some of it at least. So as he departed the White House for Pittsburgh that day, Texas will be the biggest one, and it'll be 5. But he knows he has the best math and the best words, right? Trump said in a call earlier that the Texas Republican congressional delegation would pursue 5 new winnable seats through redistricting. And I'm hoping in that case that, you know, because they had to weaken the overall strength in these congressional districts to give Republicans more seats, potentially, that with Donald Trump suffering in the polls as much as he is, that some of those redistricted seats will backfire and you'll get more Democratic seats out of it after all. So, hey, Trisha Eastman, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Let's see. But yeah, you know, it's just sheer hypocrisy. And of course, you know, here at Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Oh, wait, one more thing about that. We also had a Virginia judge today block the redistricting referendum that boosted the Democrats' election hopes. Again, Virginia voted by a narrow margin to adopt the temporary congressional maps. The Virginia Circuit Court judge ordered a blocking of the results that could net the Democrats 4 extra seats, they say. Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones, in a statement, vowed to fight the order issued by Judge Jack Hurley, a Republican appointee in Tazewell County Circuit Court. House Democratic leaders celebrated the victory, yada, yada, yada. So basically, Jay Jones said that he vowed to fight Judge Jack Hurley on this issue the day after Tuesday's referendum approved the new drawn districts. As I said last night in Virginia, voters have spoken, and an activist judge should not have the veto power over the people's vote. Of course, generally speaking, that's what one of the reasons judges are there for, because what's popular doesn't necessarily mean what's constitutional or right. So therefore, oftentimes you can have the judicial branch overrule the will of the people. If the will of the people wanted to return slavery, guess what? Y'all don't get to do that because it's unconstitutional. That being said, you know, they wouldn't be having this happening in Virginia if it wasn't for them trying to do it in Texas, in Florida, and in plenty other places, because, you know, every Republican accusation is a confession. They always like to accuse people of what they're doing themselves. But here at Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. We support the idea of not just redistricting, but eliminating districts altogether. We want to eliminate districts altogether in each state and then vote for a slate of candidates. And that slate of candidates, if you get like 60% of the vote, you get 60% of the state's congressional delegates, rounded or whatever, delegation, rounding up, rounding down, whatever, to the closest delegate. And then, you know, when you do that, you know, you'll have a more fair representation in every state, but that's going to require a constitutional amendment to require every state to abolish districts and elect slates of candidates instead. Of course, I also think we need to reapportion and change the reapportion rules to stop this artificial 435 crap. Because at 435, you have to shoehorn states in, and some states might be missing out on districts that they should have. We've done the math a few years ago, and back when we did the math previously, if you would redistrict to the closest Wyoming, so take Wyoming's population, then divide each other state's population by Wyoming, you would probably add about 100 seats to the House. You would get like 10 more seats in California. Wyoming obviously doesn't get any additional seats. Lather, rinse, repeat. So, you know, to me, that would be a better idea. It would prevent gerrymandering and would give more equitable say in the House of Representatives for what is supposed to be the people's house, right? It is supposed to be the people's house, but it has now become the house of who the legislatures support, and so they get to pick their voters, and as such, they get to pick their own congresspeople, flipping the original intent, which is the state was supposed to choose the Senate members, not the House members. But the reason that they eliminated and made the 17th Amendment, I think that's the right one, the 17th Amendment, you know, which gave direct election of senators instead of having the state legislatures do it, because many states were already deciding that they were going to just have the people vote on the person themselves anyway. And in some of the other states, you had such corruption going on in the selection of these senators that the only way to get rid of that corruption was to just have the people directly elect the senators as well. So that's why that happened. And of course, conservatives hate it because they don't like people having a voice and people having a say. That's why they hate it. They might word it differently, but that's my interpretation of it. So, hey, Molly, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hey, Suzanne as well. Who else am I missing? Big Hook. Big Hook is here. Good to see you. Thank you, Big Hook, for joining us as well. Let's see. I think that's all the potentially new people who spoke, at least in chat. So, wow, how's still going on? I have him on background on mute so I can see. I mean, I know they're going to Brian, but still, I just wanted to see when he ended so I could maybe anticipate more people coming in. Suzanne, why can't you see Liberal Dan? I don't know. Are you hearing me? Are you too early in the show? Did you rewind back from the beginning? I don't know. I don't know why you won't be able to see me. Let's see. Sent floating heart for 10 jewels. Oh, thank you. Yeah, apparently got the gifts thing available as well. So people apparently watching on the phones or whatever can gift as well and hype things up too. So that's weird that you hear me, but I see myself. Maybe I've turned into John Cena and you can't see me, right? There's the joke. So anyway, again, since this is typically the least attended show, you know, and we still have 18 people here, only 13 likes. Make sure to smash that like button. Help the algorithm. Algor needs more rhythm. You know, because this is the least attended show, though, and, you know, I'm also pretty exhausted, and I'm actually pretty hungry today. Haven't eaten all day. Haven't eaten since yesterday, so might need to, you know, have food. Shocking that, you know, sometimes I'm hungry for food, despite being on Zepbound until my pens run out, and then I'm screwed once my workplace insurance and the doctor's office, you know, decide that they can't actually figure out anything and don't let me have my medicine that I've been using. So, anyway, speaking of health insurance, I had an interesting conversation. Let me pop this thing open really quick and take a look-see at it, because it was a really interesting conversation that I had, because I may very well have convinced a conservative to support more left-leaning health policy, which I was pretty impressed of. Either he liked the comment because he liked it, or he liked or because he agreed with it, or he liked the comment because he just wanted to get the conversation over with, right? Let's see, where is that? I'm trying to find this notification of where this is in my notifications so I can pop open the post and read the conversation that I had, but I am currently not seeing it. That's weird. Maybe the post got deleted? I don't know. Anyway, point was that they were like, these Obamacare plans are horrible. We should have, you know, I'm glad I have TRICARE. And I'm like, the Affordable Care Act, you know, also regulates TRICARE. You know, it's part of the Affordable Care Act. And no, it wasn't. Hey, Chad, thank you for the 5 memberships. And P-Dub's got a membership. Love seeing when somebody who watches gets it. A Sherry for Trump person got a membership as well. That's hilarious. That Chad is the one that gifted it and got a MAGA person their stuff. So that is funny. But anyway, so the person's trying to argue that, oh, it was started in the 90s or earlier, so it can't be part of the Affordable Care Act. I'm like, it's still covered by it. It's still, you know, the Affordable Care Act requires that you have certain minimum coverages, which it follows. If it didn't, it would have to be adjusted to have those minimum coverages. It would have to cover preventive expenses at 100% first dollar. That's a part of the Affordable Care Act. The ability to cover people who are, you know, your children until they are 26. Another part of the Affordable Care Act that TRICARE is also required to have. So yes, you know, it wasn't created by the Affordable Care Act, but it's still supported by that. And I was like, well, shouldn't everybody have the opportunity to participate in a plan that allows you to buy in, that is not, you know, part of the healthcare industry scam. It's not part of a for-profit company where they have to worry about, are they going to give a benefit or are they going to worry about shareholder prices? It's, you know, it's not those, you know. Anyway, it's not one of those types of plans. So you have, sorry, just a little brain fart right there. It's not one of those plans, and, you know, you should have everybody should be able to participate in such a plan that's not going to be affected by, you know, the desire to give corporate shareholders more, you know, thought over policy decisions than giving your insured more, less thought. Anyway, so I don't know what's going on in the back of my throat today. Anyway, so he was like, well, I think I earned that after 20 years of military service. I'm like, yes, it was a benefit of your job, and that's true. But again, you're getting that benefit, and everybody in this country should have the benefit to not be covered by a for-profit if they choose to. I mean, hell, switch to that. They should have had the public option, and they should implement the public option, allow people to buy into Medicare and Medicaid, just like anybody else would buy in, with their premiums, except let them do it off their taxes, let it be a pre-tax expense or whatever. I don't care how it's done, but just pay for it with your taxes that you pay. And then, you get more money in your pocket because you're going to have fewer deductibles, fewer copays, if any, and you're also going to have a cheaper premium because guess what? It's a cheaper premium. So because you're not having to pay, out dividends to shareholders or whatever, or having to worry about the share price. You have to, you don't have to worry about making it so that, you worry about investors. You just worry about the people that you're trying to protect and trying to insure. That's why it's cheaper. That's why most of the world, the industrialized world, has this sort of plan because they understand that it's cheaper to do it this way than the way that we're doing it. But we don't want to stop doing it in the way that we're doing it because, we're beholden to the corrupt folks at the top. But yeah, but then I was like, then I was like, you should get a higher pension if you're in the military, and you're saying, well, this is my earned benefit. Well, the earned benefit should be maybe higher pension for, serving, in the military. Get a little more money in retirement, maybe some additional benefits on top of that, but don't say that other people shouldn't have the same benefit that you do of paying a cheap amount of a premium for a taxpayer subsidied health insurance and not allow everybody else to have that too. So he ended up liking the comment. Maybe she deleted the post. I don't know. But anyway, that's my thought on that. That's why I support Medicare for all. So good to see you, Cosmic Rose. Thank you for joining. Thank you also for joining Jen for a Gen Raid. Good to see you with the Gen Raid. My insurance payout is so expensive. Yeah, I mean, I'm paying a ridiculous amount of money for insurance, and I'm actually switching my plans mid-year, which is very weird. There's going to be, I've never had a situation where the plan year goes from June through May, but the deductible year is calendar year. So you can change plans midstream and then affect deductibles. It's so bizarre. Yes, and happy Earth Day. With all the shit's going on where people are trying to destroy the Earth, I forgot that it is Earth Day. So welcome to Earth Day. Anyway. Well, that's not the first thing I wanted to read. I wanted to read this. U.S. Navy Secretary Phelan fired, sources say. April 22nd, Navy Secretary John Phelan has been fired. U.S. official and a person familiar with the matter said on Wednesday in another wartime shakeup at the Pentagon, coming just after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ousted the Army's top general. The Pentagon announced his departure in a brief statement, saying that he was leaving the administration effective immediately, but did not provide a reason or say why or if it was his decision to go. His firing was first reported by Reuters. The sources who spoke on condition of anonymity said Phelan was dismissed in part because he was moving too slow to implement reforms to speed shipbuilding because he had fallen out with key Pentagon leadership. I'm Donald Trump, and I want to make sure that they're going to build the Trump-class warships faster than anybody's ever seen. So I had to shit can him because he wasn't building the Trump warships fast enough. Let's see. One source cited bad relationships with Hegseth's deputy Steve Feinberg, as well as the Navy's number 2 civilian, Hung Kao, who the Pentagon said will now take over as acting Navy Secretary. Source also cited an ethics investigation into Phelan's office. The billionaire seen as having close ties to Trump. I also heard a rumor somewhere that he was trying to get like Starlink thrown on to the the plane or whatever, into the Navy, one of the Navy planes that shuttles the heads all over the place. And you have the regular internet that is governmental, that can hook up to the government systems, but he wanted a Starlink link so that his personal phone could be used because he's a billionaire and it's more special than everybody else. So I can either confirm or deny that report, though. Let's see. Can you believe he is going to poison a freshwater protected lake to allow Chilean mining company to operate? I can absolutely believe that he's going to do that. I absolutely 100% believe that Donald Trump would absolutely allow that because he's all about giving, the EPA has been neutered. Because the EPA has been told or has announced that they're going to worry more about, profits than protecting the environment and then protecting the people who are affected by harms to the environment. But hey, who gives a shit about the peons, right? We're going to have the Flintstones and the Jetsons one day with all the rich people living up in the sky and the Flintstones people down here living back to the Stone Age. So yeah. And then, of course, Keg's death. wants the flu vaccine. And if you listened to the Stephanie Miller show this morning, you would have heard some of my comments on this already, because I called into Stephanie Miller talking about how Pete Hegseth and RFK Jr. want to make America fluish again. And that's fluish again and not Jewish again, because I'm Jewish, and we've never been a Jewish country, you know, even though people like to have their conspiracy theories or whatever. But yeah, he wants to make America fluish again. Flu vaccine no longer mandated for U.S. troops, Hegseth says. The notion that a flu vaccine must be mandatory for every service member, everywhere, in every circumstance, at all times, is just overly broad and not rational, Hegseth, Keg's Breath, or Keg's Death, said in a posted video on social media. He said American service members are free to get the flu vaccine, but will not be forced to, because it's your body and your faith and your convictions, and those are not negotiable. Well, guess what? Fine. But you should also then not be able to be in the military. Like, it's not a right to serve in the military. Clearly. It's not a right. You have to fit the criteria. And if the criteria is, you know, don't be a chicken shit and be afraid of a little needle prick, then, you know, how are you going to handle a gun pointing at you? If you can't handle a little shot, if you can't handle the flu jab or whatever you want to call it, you're too chicken shit to serve in the military. How about them apples? I'll say that. I'll say that out loud. What of it? So, anyway, yeah. So, and there's going to be a time, probably the next flu season, where all of a sudden you're going to see reports from the military that, maybe especially on like Navy ships or whatever, but there's going to be reports across the military that you're going to see expanding cases of the flu. So many cases that no one's ever seen. You'll see so many cases of the flu going on, and the reports will say something like, U.S. military caught flat-footed with massive flu outbreak. And then we'll be sitting here like, man, if there was only some way that we could have prevented a massive outbreak of the flu across the military. If only some way we could have managed that. Maybe that's by requiring service members to have the flu vaccine. When these people, by Keg's Breath's claims, how he describes them, they are war fighters. How are you going to be a war fighter if you can't handle a little needle? Poor little baby can't handle little needles. Oh, so sad. Buck it up. Protect the people around you by getting yourself a flu vaccine. Because there are people who can't. If your health precludes you from getting a vaccine, then you are even more reliant on the people around you to get vaccinated. That's how herd immunity works. Because more than enough people get it, and it prevents the spread of those strains. But they don't like science in this administration. That's why you got RFK Jr. as head of the Department of Health. Because they hate fucking science. Hate it with a passion. But they don't understand, you know, how spreader events work. They don't understand how diseases get transferred from one person from another. They're like, oh, a diaper on your face, a piece of cloth on your butt can't stop a fart from getting out, so it's not going to be able to stop the virus from getting out. Look, you dumb motherfuckers, that's not how it works either. So, yes, exactly, a trust in every game. Science has a well-known liberal bias. Imagine if there was a massive flu outbreak on Biden's watch.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
And thank you, Susie, one of the other great mods on the internet who has shared my link, I think, to my t-shirts in the Stephanie Miller chat. And also Mark P was the one who shared the link to the channel. At least I don't know if he did that as well. Susie, appreciate you for the link sharing that you do and the places that you mod. But it was definitely nice to get the good feedback in the chat. Hopefully it turns to maybe some more people subscribing, but who knows? You never know. Hell, back during George Washington's time, they had the smallpox vaccine or whatever, and people were inoculated for the smallpox, and those soldiers were required to get it too because Washington thought it was very important that you're serving your country, shouldn't be caught flat-footed being sick. Makes sense, right? But yes, Catherine, you say, yeah, you have autoimmune stuff. So does my wife. My wife can't take the COVID vaccine. My wife can't take the flu vaccine either. She can't get either of those shots. So she is reliant on us, the rest of us in the household, to get those shots to help protect her. So we're less likely to get it, and we're less likely to transmit it to other people. But yes, Keg's death is making us less safe. Thank you, Trucker John, for joining. Appreciate you. Good to see you. I'm sure if you're watching my show, you've probably already subscribed to Trucker John's channel. But if you haven't done so, you should do so because he is an awesome person and has a great show as well. Let's see. Cosmic Rose, friend in New York, just got out of the hospital. They diagnosed him with super flu and gave him a super strong antibiotic. Thought he had sepsis. Wow. But yeah. Get the flu shot, y'all. But look, if it would only affect the people who choose to not do it, then I wouldn't give a crap. You know, take that risk. But if it's not, because you help affect other people, you create more vectors of transmission for a virus every time you choose to not get a vaccine. And you need to protect people like Catherine in the chat. You need to protect people who are otherwise immunocompromised and can't take the vaccine because they were reliant on you on reducing the number of strains that are being reducing the number of vectors of transmission all around. So yeah. Let's see. Good to see you, Janelle. Thank you for joining. Well, shit, even Trump was worried about STDs during Vietnam in the 80s. I mean, Trump is an STD. Don't get that wrong. Trump was created by an act of sex until someone proves otherwise. Maybe there was some other way that those two ugly motherfuckers, you know, created that, you know, shit stain on the world. But, you know, Trump is a disease, and we got him via two people fucking. So Trump is an STD. And unfortunately, there's no vaccine to prevent Trump. The vaccine to prevent Trump is, you know, education, learning things, becoming a better person. That's how you fight that virus that is Donald Trump. So, see, Orville B, goddamn Twitch keeps assuming that I'm trying to log in on an adult explicit website. Really?
Oh my.
Do they know something that I don't know? Are we going to be dropping some filth and dirt or whatever that I was not aware about? Are we having a secret showing of Liberal Dan After Dark? We're not yet. Soon, but not yet. Let's see. I heard somebody postulate that the Biden decline was from suffering long COVID. Apparently he caught it 3 times. It's possible that could have happened. But again, I would rather a weakened Bernie Biden over what we have with Trump. So there's that. So... need a new tune. Trump is an STD. I'm working on another song about Trump not having the cards, but I'll have to put that one in the hopper too. We'll have to create Donald Trump is an STD, sexually transmitted, worse than whatever. There is no cure, is what they said. The only cure is when he ends up being dead by natural causes. Empathy is what made Biden such a great president. Yes, he had empathy. Like, and even then, like when he made people uncomfortable with, like, you know, his being a touchy-feely type of person. When he made people uncomfortable, he took responsibility for his actions, and he went on, you know, TV and he's like, this is the type of person I am, but I'm apologizing if I made people uncomfortable, and I will try and do better and try making sure that people are more comfortable around me. And that's great, and it's perfect. It's absolutely what you should do in that situation. You know, don't make excuses for it. You can explain who you are, but don't make excuses for it, and work to do better and apologize for anything where you may have slipped up. That's what good leaders do. It's what good people do. Donald Trump is neither. So, Catherine says time to drink, and then I drank, but I'm just drinking water. So, Trusted Different Games says big head. There's no Biden decline. That's total bullshit. Entirely by anonymous sources. Look, I mean, I'll look at a couple of things that Biden did and say he had old man moments because he's an 80-year-old man. 80-year-old men have old man moments. It's going to happen. But comparatively, comparing the two mental cognition and the mental capacities of the two old men that were running for president in 2020, Biden is much preferable, and Trump has much more mental decline. You know, Covfefe, the oranges instead of the origins, you know, all the United States, anonymous, Anonymous. Do, 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 do. Anonymous. Do, 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 do. Anyway, so Cosmic Rose, Dan, I love your show because you don't yell at us and you treat us with respect. Look, you know, I will rant. I'll be ranty sometimes. I have my rants. But the only time I really fuss at y'all is anytime I see like body shaming going on or something, I might fuss at y'all for that. Or, you know, I might, you know, but sometimes it's usually I let the mods do that for me or whatever. They know what I like and what I don't like, and they're amazing people and I love them. So let's see what else. Dan, ranties are in a twist. I'm wearing ranties. Ranties, the new pair of underwear from Liberal Dan Chopper City. That's another thing I need to do. Liberal Dan's Chopper City. Let's see. I will allow that auto moderated post for Atrocious Divvy Game because I see nothing wrong with it. That was me. But I got you, boo. I got you. We good. Let's see. Jolie, I wasn't 100% sure about Biden when I voted for him, but I totally fell in love. What a great man. History will remember him fondly, unlike the orange piece of shit in office right now. Yep, exactly. Let's see. So what's the other thing? Do we believe the conspiracy theories? Or I don't know if you really call it a conspiracy theory or not. But according to reports this month, aides and military advisors kept Donald Trump out of the Situation Room during the high-stakes rescue operation for those 2 U.S. airmen who were downed in Iran. Officials reportedly restricted his access because of erratic behavior and impatience, following a screaming tirade at staff, opting to provide him updates at meaningful moments instead. Yes, he was, I guess, so embarrassed, so upset that he might be seen as, oh, there's an embarrassment because 2 of our planes got shot down. How could that country Iran is so terrible? How can they knock down our planes? We should have the best planes. Nobody should have better planes. Reports allege Trump screamed at aides for hours and exhibited a meltdown upon learning of his situation, expressing concerns about the potential negative impact on his presidency and re-election chances. Okay, again, sundowning man can't be re-elected. The exclusion to keep the operation running smoothly, advisors limited his access to the command center while they managed the extraction in real time. Like, you know, he's supposed to be the commander-in-chief. If his aides and underlings can force him out of meetings and keep him away, you know, despite him being the commander-in-chief, I mean, that's pretty sad for him. That is pretty darn sad for us if he doesn't have that amount of control and he can be controlled that way by his underlings in the military. I mean, maybe that gives us a little glimpse of hope that if he tries to do anything really stupid, that they'll step up and say no. But yeah, and also, there's another claim that the White House is rejecting that Trump sought the nuclear codes. The White House has denied an unverified claim that President Donald Trump sought to use the U.S. nuclear codes during a tense meeting on the Iran crisis. The allegation made by a former CIA officer, Larry Johnson, has not been corroborated with sources or officials. Dispute comes from the U.S.-Iran ceasefire as it nears its expiration, heightening tensions over potential military escalation. Of course, that's what people are calling another one of his tacos of chickening out. Of course, again, as we say here in Liberal Dan Radio, taco means Trump always cons others, because any waffling or tacoing or whatever that people are seeing is not being done because he's chickening out. It's being done because he's manipulating the markets. In the case of, you know, oh, I'm not going to, because the other day he said, I don't think I'll extend the ceasefire. I won't do it, causing stocks to go up. And then he says, oh, well, maybe we'll extend, or stocks went down at that point. And, oh, maybe we'll extend it a few days, and then stocks can go back up. Then he can whatever. You know, or oil goes down and oil goes up. And then, you know, with the tariffs, stocks go down, stocks go up. And he manipulates the whole thing because he's not chickening out. He's a con man abusing his power to enrich himself and his wealthy motherfucker a-hole allies. Yeah, viral allegation. A former CIA officer, Larry Johnson, claimed President Trump tried to access nuclear codes in an emergency White House meeting on the Iran crisis. Johnson alleged that Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, refused the directives, leading to a heated confrontation. The White House has categorically denied the claim. Of course, they're going to categorically deny the claim. If they admitted to that, if they admitted that Donald Trump had a screaming tirade about wanting the nuclear codes and wanting to use nukes during the Iran conflict, then that would be more of an example of why Donald Trump needs to be removed from power. I mean, we already believe he needs to be removed from power. We already believe in the 25th Amendment. But maybe him trying to get the nuclear codes would be an example where his cabinet could be like, oh, maybe the 25th Amendment is now called for because he's unhinged and a complete wackadoodle. So, of course, they're not going to admit it because more people would call for his ouster if they would admit such a thing. And, of course, Snopes had to show something. Snopes had, let's share this up here because I think it's worthy of sharing. Sharing! I'm sorry, no, I'm not Ozzy. That's Sharon, not sharing. April 26, 2026, General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, blocked U.S. President Donald Trump from invoking nuclear codes against Iran during a heated emergency meeting. And Snopes rates this false. False. What does rating it false mean? It means you have proof that it's not true. That's what false should mean. Now, they could say it's unsubstantiated. Could be said it was unproven. You could give the little question mark deal that they put here about there not being any credible evidence to show that it's happening, but it's not proven false. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. On a post read that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, stormed out of an emergency meeting with Trump, yada, yada. And, of course, that is a not confirmed comment. Of course, Snopes goes, we have found no evidence from reputable sources or news outlets supporting the claim, which appeared to stem from a dubious source. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly also told Snopes via email that the claim was totally false. We have also reached out to the Pentagon, and they've not given a response yet. But yeah, just because you don't have any credible evidence, this doesn't mean it's false. You haven't proved it false. You've just proved it's unsubstantiated, that it's just a rumor or whatever. And you shouldn't say true, clearly, even though it's believable, it's plausible. You shouldn't say true, but saying false makes the comment that's much more, substantive. And yes, this is an actual true statement of ours by us saying that it's false. You don't know that it's false. You just don't have any evidence to show it being true. That's why you should have a different rating than just plainly false. Thank you, Petrazi, for being a liberal Danimal for 5 months. Thank you for re-upping. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the liberal Danimals for the support of the show. Remember, you can like, share to help the algorithm, but you can also super chat, super sticker, buy your own memberships, gift other memberships as well. So, what else is going on in the White House? A Trump counterterrorism official is under investigation after her ex reported her as a potential security risk because of alleged activity on a sugar daddy website. Julia Varvaro, age 29, who was appointed as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Counterterrorism in May of 2025, had her alleged account exposed by a business executive only known as Robert B. Is that like Robert Baratheon? Is he from Game of Thrones? Who claimed that he spent between tens of thousands of dollars on her. That's a weird... He spent between tens of thousands of dollars. That doesn't make sense. On her throughout the 3-month relationship. According to Robert, he first discovered Varvaro on Hinge, a popular dating app centered around finding long-term relationships. She was attractive and I swiped right. The two hit it off, and as their relationship progressed, this is all allegations from old Robert B. Robert swept her away on a number of romantic getaways to Italy, Aruba, San Diego, South Carolina, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahamas. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Jamaica, won't you take it? Whatever. I don't know. I think I got that wrong at the end. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go down to Kokomo? That's it. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down in Kokomo. Anyway, over their short fling, he claimed he spent between $30,000 and $40,000 on pricey jewelry, handbags, shopping sprees, and vacations. Things swiftly spiraled downward when she allegedly told him that she had paid off her college debt with the help of sugar daddies in the past. I did not want a sugar daddy/prostitution relationship, Robert said. Also, she told me directly that $40,000 worth of jewelry on her wrists and ears are all trophies from her sugar daddies. Aware of her job, Robert made an official complaint with the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General and told them that she had a profile on sugar daddy website called Seeking. I believe she's under financial stress and that her actions pose a security risk. Varvaro allegedly used the same photo on Instagram and went by the name Alyssa on the Seeking profile seen by Daily Mail. In her bio, she reportedly described herself as flirty, fun, and fond of sultry spaces, mysterious lounges, velvet shadows, and wine in hand. As she said, she was drawn to masculine men who are attentive, protective, and quietly playful for a mutually beneficial experience. And he didn't want a prostitution-type relationship, but yet she clearly says that she wants a playful for mutually beneficial experiences. When, what does mutually beneficial experiences mean to y'all? Because to me, that clearly says that the mutual benefit was he would get something and she would get something else. Maybe he would, hopefully, only of them would have that one thing and wouldn't catch anything else. But, you know, it's ridiculous. Who would not read that and say, oh, this is somebody who just wants a simple relationship with me? No, that's clearly somebody who wants that type of relationship. And look, I'm fine. If you want to be a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, and if you want to have sugar baby or whatever, I'm not going to complain about it. You know, if you want to do that, you have the money to do that, by all means, do it. If you have the ability to get somebody to give you money and gifts and take you on vacations, by all means, do it. And if it's in exchange for favors or whatever, fine. We're sex positive here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. Prostitution work is real. Sex work is real work. We don't hold and begrudge people who are sex workers. You know, if they're out there and everybody's consenting and everybody thinks all good, then perfect, wonderful. I have no problem with you doing all that. We're going to be cool with you here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right, for that. But, you know, I can see where it might be a slight problem if the person who's, you know, one of the people in charge of counterterrorism is also on a sugar daddy website. Because that's a very convenient way to funnel money from external sources into, you know, somebody who is high up in our government. He also questioned what kind of vetting was done before giving her a job. She would have been subject to a full background investigation. How did this not come up? As for Varvaro, she staunchly denied any wrongdoing. I didn't know it was bad to go on vacation with your boyfriend, she said, seemingly referring to her frequent getaways with Robert. We were together in an exclusive relationship. We went on vacations. I don't know what is the problem with that. Then why were you on Seeking? How did he find you on Seeking? This is just a mad ex-boyfriend putting crap together. And this really weird. If we made a story about every failed short relationship in DC, this town would implode. I thought it was a great relationship until we just didn't work, and that was it. Wednesday, April 22nd, official confirmed that Varvaro had been put on administrative leave as a result of the investigation and is no longer serving in her capacity as Deputy Assistant Secretary at DHS. So what kind of Mickey Mouse show is going over there? Don't put me on this. I'm not involved. Anyway, so, yeah. That's what's going on in the Trump. Of course, you know, because they hire people because, you know, because Donald Trump has attracted them, I guess, more than anything. I mean, is she qualified for the job? I don't know. I don't know what her qualifications would have been with what she does as a career or whatever, but it doesn't seem that somebody who's having to go on Seeking.com to make a little extra buck, to make a couple extra shekels, is going to be somebody who's, you know, very experienced enough in the world to be a, you know, Deputy Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security dealing with counterterrorism. It just doesn't pass the smell test there. So, anyway. Trisha Eastman. Ooh, I want to take you down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we want to go. Way down to Kokomo. Anyway. Shout out to John Stamos. Or to Hal, who thinks he looks like John Stamos in the Sparklers video. So what else is going on? Oh, I wanted to bring up that other thing, too. Because because I heard something else that Donald Trump or Nancy Sinatra slams Trump for posting Frank Sinatra My Way video. She's criticized Trump for posting a video of her late father, Frank Sinatra, performing My Way. President Trump seems to be a fan of Frank Sinatra. However, the legendary singer's eldest daughter is no fan of his. The Boots Are Made for Walking singer took notice of Trump posting a video on Truth Social with her late father singing his hit song My Way. This is sacrilege. Another ex-user asked Sinatra if there was something she could do. Unfortunately, no. Only people can do something are the publishers. Of course, you know, the lyrics of I Did It My Way, you know, makes me wonder why on earth is he using that song? Because it starts off with, and I was wondering when I heard that he had posted a video, and I was like, is Trump singing it, or is it a Frank Sinatra version of it? Is he going like, and now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it was clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. So, I mean, and there, of course, there has to be a parody made of Donald Trump singing I Did It My Way. But, you know, I did it kafefe, or something like that. But, you know, when Donald Trump posts something that says, and now the end is near, and I face my final curtain, that's going to get a lot of people celebrating that maybe the end is near, and maybe the blood clot is spreading, right? So, yeah. A very odd choice that Donald Trump would use. But then again, you know, he's the one who also, for some reason, is obsessed with playing YMCA at his thing. And of course, not only does he play the YMCA, he has to do the little double dance right here, the double motion here. And one of my best comebacks that I have for conservatives is, you know, when you are sitting here fantasizing about Donald Trump and all his glory or whatever, do you imagine that you're the right hand or the left hand during the YMCA dance? Is the right hand pleasing you, or is the left hand pleasing you in the YMCA dance that he does? Dun, 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 dun. Young man, there is no need to be down. I said, young man. Anyway. Anyway, it's curtains for Trump's gold drapes. Are they even gold, or are they just gold colored? Maybe they're gold lame, maybe they're pyrite. Again, because Donald Trump says this is the golden age of America, but it's really the pyrite age of America, because Donald Trump is a piece of crap garbage and nothing about him is gold. I mean, I own a lot of gold things, like a golden turlet or whatever, but, you know, as, again, as old Trumpy says.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Yeah, his silly dance, ugh. See, that song has a kick and bass guitar line. What, YMCA? Doom, doom, doom. Anyway, so one of the big news events, and one of the main news things that let's just record this one just in case. One of the main news topics that I wanted to speak about today was the fact that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted by the Department of Justice. And the claims here, we're going to go over a little bit. We're not going to go over the entire indictment, but the claim here is that they are funneling money into hate groups for the desire to spread hate fakely in order to give them a job to do. That's the argument, that basic 30,000-foot argument that the Trump administration Justice Department is making to go after the Southern Poverty Law Center. So here's the introduction, and of course they were able to indict the ham sandwich this time. They have failed getting a federal jury grand jury indictments previously, but they were able to get it done this time, apparently. Introduction. Southern Poverty Law Center's SPLC stated mission included the dismantling of white supremacy and confronting hate across the country. However, unbeknownst to donors, some of their donated money was being used to fund the leaders and organizers of racist groups such as the Klan, the Aryan Nation, and the National Alliance. The SPLC paid informants, aka field sources, or Fs I think as they were called, engaged in the active promotion of racist groups. At the same time, the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on its website. SPLC also had a field source who was a member of the online leadership chat group, panned the the 2017 Unite the Right event in Charlottesville. That field source made racist postings under the supervision of the SPLC. Now, again, there's no evidence that I would love to see the evidence that they were supervising him in making those racist posts. I mean, did they pay somebody who was going to be there at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia? Sure, I'm sure they did. Or give him a gift card or something of value for him to go, spy on his own organization? Does that mean that this person is going to be any less of a racist shitbag? No, he's going to continue to be a racist shitbag because he's a racist shitbag. He's just a greedy racist shitbag who's not loyal to his own kind, apparently, because he's more than happy to take the SPLC's money and gifts to rat out his friends and be a snitch. And look, good for them on doing that. More on that in a second. In order to covertly pay its field sources, the SPLC opened bank accounts connected to a series of fictitious entities. The covert nature of the accounts allowed the SPLC to disguise the true nature, source, and ownership and control of these fraudulently obtained donated money that they paid to their field sources. Their words, not mine. In order to keep the scheme going, they made a series of false statements related to the operation of the accounts. Let's see. They talk about the organization a bit. Let's see. SPLC's paid informants networks, the Fs. Starting in 1980, the SPLC began operating a covert network of informants who were either associated with violent extremist groups such as the Klan or had infiltrated violent extremist groups at the SPLC's direction. These informants were referred to by some individuals within SPLC as field sources or the Fs. Between at least 2014 and 2023, they paid their Fs in a clandestine member. Doing so hid the fact that while the SPLC received donation money under the auspices, their words, not mine, that these funds would be used to dismantle violent extremist groups, this donation money was instead being used to pay leaders and other people within the same violent extremist groups. Of course, those are not things that are, mutually exclusive. They could actually be working to fight these white supremacist groups, these neo-Nazis, the Aryan Nation, the Klan, or whatever. They absolutely can do that while paying off their informants, while paying off the people who are giving them the information, because what the Southern Poverty Law Center has done in this situation is they've taken, the information received from these paid informants and are then funneling that information to law enforcement who can then stop actions. And they've also used it in lawsuits to take more money away from the Klan, away from these other groups. Examples of Fs who were secretly paid include, but are not limited to, the following. F37 was a member of the online leadership chat group for the 2017 Unite the Right rally and attended the event at the direction of the SPLC. Again, proved that it was at the direction of them. F37 made racist postings under the supervision. Again, show me those posts because I don't believe it otherwise, because we don't believe anything that comes from this administration. Thank you, Alyosha, for the 14 bits. F9 was affiliated with a neo-Nazi group, the National Alliance, and served as an F for more than 20 years. His activities included fundraising for the National Alliance. Okay, so he's a fundraiser for the National Alliance, and he's also getting paid by the SPLC to get information on the National Alliance. Again, those two jobs aren't necessarily related. It's just a good person to get because, hey, guess what? He has access. In 2014, F9 entered the headquarters of the violent extremist group and stole 25 boxes of their documents. F9 coordinated payment for the copying of the materials with a high-level SPLC employee who had knowledge that the documents had been stolen. The original stolen materials were returned to the group in a second illegal entry by F9. Therefore, the high-level SPLC employee utilized the documents in part as a basis for a story published on the Hate Watch website authored by an employee. Another F39 was blamed for the theft and was paid approximately $6,000 by the SPLC to falsely take responsibility for the theft, unknown to the Imperial Wizard of the Clans of America, or F unknown was an Imperial Wizard of the United Clans of America. The SPLC described the group as a millennial reboot of what was once a serious domestic threat. F27 reported as an officer of the National Socialist Movement and Aryan Nation's affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club between 2014 and 2020. They secretly paid him more than $30,000. Again, I don't know what the problem is here. They're getting racist shitbags and they're paying them. I mean, I'd love for them to not pay these racist shitbags, but it's unlikely that they'd be able to get racist shitbags to give money or to give information on their hate groups that they're members of unless they were able to give them compensation, aka money, or some other form of reimbursement to be able to do these actions. So, and I don't believe it's a lie to the people who donated to the SPLC because, again, it was a program they've been doing since the 80s, and sometimes these sort of things would have to be under the radar to make sure that, the people, the bad guys, don't find out. Period. So I have no problem with using funds and getting people who are part of these hate groups to rat out their fellow racist shitbag compatriots. I don't see the issue here. I'm going to have a difficult time believing that despite the fact that they got the grand jury to bring down the indictment, that they would, that they're going to be able to convince a jury that they are guilty of the crimes that they're being alleged happened. And instead, they're probably going to view that these actions were perfectly legal, perfectly okay, and that this is a big bag of nothing brought to you by the shitbags at the Justice Department. The ACLU has a comment, says, today U.S. Department of Justice officials announced a grand jury in Montgomery has returned an indictment against the SPLC. The investigation into the SPLC is yet another example of the Trump administration's extreme attempts to silence its critics. This administration's continued weaponization of the Justice Department to target organizations speaking out against its agenda is anti-American behavior, harkening back to the McCarthy era. The ACLU stands in solidarity with the SPLC. It works to fight hate, racism, and injustice in the American South, and has played a critical role in strengthening civil rights of millions of Americans. While the Trump administration may not agree with the SPLC's civil rights mission or work, its efforts to target the organization are fundamentally wrong. The Trump administration's attack against the SPLC is a direct threat to the values that make America great. In this time of unprecedented peril for our democracy, we urge all Americans to have good conscience to join us as we stand in support of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Of course, I would also support the Southern Poverty Law Center. I'd love to be able to get somebody from there. I'll probably reach out at some point to see if they'd be willing to comment. Of course, now that they're involved in an active investigation or an active lawsuit, they might not want to make the rounds on social media or wherever to tell people, because they might be afraid that they might hurt their case. And of course, they shouldn't have to worry about it, because the federal government should have no case, because again, we see nothing wrong with what's going on with this. But, as old Trumpy boy says,
It is what it is.
So there you go. But here's the thing, and here's the kicker. Here's what, many in the media, at least I haven't seen many in the media taking this angle yet, which is the fact that the reason that they're angry at the SPLC, the reason that this administration, this white supremacist, racist, bigoted, anti-Semite administration would be against the actions of the SPLC, because they're mad, they're big mad that their allies are being infiltrated by people who are being paid by the SPLC, because Donald Trump and his administration relies on racists, on xenophobes, on white supremacists, on Nazis, on anti-Semites. They rely on that support to continue their horrible ways, because that is part of their base. It's probably a big chunk of their base, and they want to make sure that they are standing up and fighting for the white supremacists, because Make America Great Again really just means Make America White Again for these, again, racist shitbags that, I have no concern over the idea. And, this Department of Justice is trying to feign some sort of sympathy, or, oh, boo-hoo, the people who contributed to the SPLC were being ripped off because they were lied to. They don't give a shit if the people who were donating to the SPLC were ripped off or not. They'd probably love to see them, the SPLC donors get ripped off. They probably sit back there, serves them right for donating to the SPLC, right? But guess what? They're still going to come after them because they don't like the mission of the SPLC. So they will continue to fight the mission of the SPLC, because anti-racism is also anti-republicanism. Anti-racism is anti-conservatism. Anti-racism is anti-white supremacy, which is anti-MAGA. So there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And we should be applauding the SPLC for doing what it does to fight white supremacy, to fight neo-Nazis, to fight the Klan, to fight all the other people that want to be hateful against others because of the manner of their birth. They should be applauded for it, not indicted. And there are other people who are indicted, who aren't indicted, who should be indicted, that are definitely part of this administration. They should be focusing on those people, but of course they're not going to, because, they're corrupt and they're going to support the bigots. Big Hook says, I might go to that later. Or Catherine goes to Visantha, I might go to that later. I want to watch Liberal Dan. Now, I appreciate you, Catherine, for that. I don't know, what was Xantha talking about? Let's see. I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of scrolling weird for me. Chad said, has a call it a night, but if you're still happy to be here, thank you, Chad, for supporting the show with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you. Yeah, exactly. Don't like seeing their voting base being held accountable. Exactamundo. Yes. So, to Jan Morgan, do not make fun of or diss sex workers. Man, Jan Morgan is very, very well back in the video, I guess. I don't know, but it is what it is, right? Or I'm sorry, that's Donald's line.
It is what it is.
Again, as I said on the show earlier, we support sex workers. Sex work is real work, and we are not going to slut shame or do anything else of the type when it comes to people who participate in sex work. As long as it's all consensual, then we have no problem with it. Once you start crossing the line of consensual stuff and other things, then clearly no, we don't support that here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. So, what else? I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. And, you know, I mean, we do have 25 viewers. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. Let's see, what else? Just trying to make sure to see anybody's good to see Bob LeBlanc. Thank you for joining. Again, make sure everybody smash that like button if you haven't already done so. We currently have more likes than viewers, which is somewhat good to see, but sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has already clicked like. Yeah, Jennifer. If she wants to be a freak and sell it on the weekends, it's none of your business. So, yes, exactly, Jen. Good song. Appreciate you. Of course, was it, who is it? It's not Left Eye because she passed away. Is it Chili? Chili is a MAGA person, so we can appreciate the song that basically tells people that if I want to be a freak and sell it on the weekend, it's none of your business. Chili then wants to, you know, support MAGA, who wants to make everybody's sex lives everybody's business. So hypocrisy abounds all over the place, right? P-Dub's been lurking. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for coming to the show. Big Hook, sex workers are unfortunately used for blackmail purposes within politics. And yeah, absolutely. And that's probably why it's a good idea to not have the assistant deputy to the assistant to the deputy of the head of the counterterror, or assistant deputy to the head of the counterterrorism unit at the Department of Homeland Security. Easy for me to say, right? I have the best words. Nobody has better words. It's probably a good idea to hire somebody who is not actively involved in such things, because you could get blackmailed. You know, people could hold such things above you and say, I'll tell your bosses if you don't do this. I'll tell your bosses about your, you know, seeking.com, you know, profile unless you give me some secrets about what the counterterrorism unit is doing. And guess what? That's how the bad people get their information, by doing that crap and holding it. So yeah, it's probably a good idea to not be a sex worker and also be working for the government. But otherwise, generally speaking, we don't shame. Again, I'm not going to shame her if she was a sugar mama or she was a sugar baby for somebody else. If she liked to get sugar daddies and liked to get trophies from her sugar daddies, and generally speaking, I'm not going to hate her on that. If she can get a bunch of old dudes to give her a bunch of gifts and money and trips, by all means, do it. Get that paper. Make that money. Be covered in bling. No problem. But also don't go work for the government so people could use you as, you know, for blackmail material and get information out of you that otherwise you wouldn't be forced to share because you wouldn't have the, you know, stuff on you. I mean, it would be great if we lived in a society where nobody had to worry about that shit. Where if somebody be like, oh, I'm a sex worker. If they go, oh, I'm a sex worker, everybody's like, okay, cool. Fine, whatever. And then you wouldn't be able to use it to blackmail. But because we still live in such a Puritan society, even though we voted for the hoo-ha grabber in chief, we still live in such a Puritan society that, you know, makes everybody feel bad about sex. Maybe it's one of the things we'll try and tackle at Liberal Dan Radio After Dark, because, you know, we don't want people to have to be quiet about sex, about who they are sexually speaking, or, you know, what they like to do. I mean, granted, you shouldn't go shouting it from the rooftops in front of, like, you know, a bunch of kids or whatever, of all the details of your debaucherous behaviors, but still, you should be able to, you know, enjoy your life and not have to worry that somebody's going to go out you and, you know, get you in trouble with the boss, or get you in trouble because of your position, or get you in trouble because of what positions you did. That's a
Oh my.
moment if you ever heard one. Anyway, it would be great if we lived in such a society where nobody could blackmail you for doing that, because everyone would be like, okay, no big deal. But unfortunately, we do. So unfortunately, it can get used because, again, we do live in a Puritan society where only the rich people, I guess, can get away with sex crimes or with sexual activity that's, you know, not seen as good, or maybe, or even get away with sex crimes. You know, they can do that too. Rich people can get away with, you know, doing the things that they criticize the poors for doing, and also get away with committing crimes, you know, like the people who are being protected from by Trump, who are on the Epstein list, right? So, good to see you, Bald Thanos. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Never feed cougars past part midnight. Which cougars are you talking about? Are you talking about the actual cat, or are you talking about the other type of cougars?
Oh my.
So, and what are you feeding them after midnight?
Oh my.
Anyway, sorry, had to do it. Exactly. Did someone say Grinder? Yeah, these people will, you know, crash Grinder at the, you know, CPAC or at another, you know, Republican convention, but then they try and, you know, ban other people's immoral behavior, or the behavior that they think is immoral. Immoral would be not getting a circumcision at 8 days old when you're Jewish. That would be what immoral would be. Anyway. Okay. Sure, I'll answer questions. Abso-freaking-lutely, I'll answer questions about that, like that as well. So, you're a very good guy. I appreciate you for saying so. So why do so many so-called good guys fear talking about how wrong abuse is? What is your take? All right. So, again, there are a lot of people who are self-proclaimed good guys who are not. A lot of people will, you know, a lot of these self-proclaimed good guys will be like, you know, I'm such a nice guy, but, you know, all these women, they say that they don't like me because because they can't find any nice guys, but I'm a nice guy, so why won't they come date me? Well, here's one of the things. When somebody says, I would like to have a nice guy, there's an implied of who I am attracted to as well. Now, what attracts people to different people can vary from person to person, clearly. But still, I mean, Melania and Trump. Who could look at that and be like, what? But, you know, and clearly Trump's not a nice guy. But if you think that your behavior that you are presenting to others makes you deserving of dates and or sex, you're not a good guy. People are not sex vending machines. You don't put in good behavior and get out a quarter or get out the candy that you want. So many self-described good guys are clearly not good guys, and then if you look at what they actually support, they really are not good guys, because a lot of these self-proclaimed good guys are, you know, red-pilled MGTOW type folks. So there's that. But, and again, it's not my job. I shouldn't be saying that I'm a good guy. Again, that's up, if Catherine says that, I appreciate that somebody thinks that way. I know other people think that way as well. But it's not my job. It's just like allyship. Like, you can't say, I'm an ally of so-and-so, of this marginalized group. I'm an ally. You can't say that. Why? Because it's not my job to determine whether or not my actions, you know, allow me to be called an ally. Only the people who are in the marginalized and oppressed group themselves that you're trying to be an ally to, only they can determine whether or not you're actually being an ally or not. So, I used to be guilty of this myself. I used to say, I'm an ally, I'm an ally, I'm an ally. And I no longer do so, because I understand it's not my place to say that I'm an ally. Just like it's not my place to say, oh, I'm a good guy. No, act as if a good guy should act, and try and do your best, and then hopefully other people will think that of you. But you can't make the declaration yourself, because then you become very suspicious. And you don't want to be suspicious, right? So, but anyway, but even real, you know, those fake good guys are clearly not going to speak out against abuse, because those fake good guys are kind of like Donald Trump. I've been recording this for way too long. Those fake good guys are kind of like Donald Trump, you know, when trying to seek the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm a peaceful person. I love peace. I'm going to be the most peaceful president of all time. So, but it's not his position to say that he is a peaceful person. It's the people around him who have to judge him for whether or not he's really peaceful or not. And then when he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, he go, well, maybe I'll be less peaceful now because they don't give me the award. If you need an award to be peaceful, you're not peaceful. Period. Like, if you need the reward of sex and or a relationship to be a good person, you're not a good person. So, again, so many of these people aren't good people, and many of those people would become abusive. Like, it's the same people, like, hey, they'll start talking to people on his apps. Like, I'm in several groups that, you know, where women basically talk about the horribleness that men do. And I sit there and watch it, and sometimes I'll comment about things, you know, if I feel like I can add to the conversation. Typically, I don't add to the conversation because I don't have that lived life experience in most of those situations. Although I have had several circumstances where I've talked about something and somebody says, welcome to womanhood, Dan. This is what we deal with all the time. So, but again, me dealing with it once versus other people dealing with all the time, again, completely different thing. So, now I've just lost my damn train of thought. Anyway, so these people, you know, again, you know, it's not my job to say if I'm a good person or not. It's the other people's job to determine that I am. I can only act well. I can only act right, and then hope that other people view me as acting right, right? So I see, anyway, yeah. So I see these posts. I knew I was going to get back to it. I see these posts. I see like examples of like interactions on like Tinder or other dating websites where these people are sitting there, and you know the guy will be like, "Hey, how are you? Nice to talk to you. Nice to meet you. What are your interests?" And it all starts all tame and nice or whatever. Assuming the guys aren't the ones that come, you know, straight up with an unsolicited picture of their Johnson. You know, those people are shitheads too, or just shitheads from the start. But you start off, you know, oh, how nice to meet. And then, like, if it doesn't happen, if the person is not feeling the, you know, not feeling the vibes or whatever, and is not interested in talking to them, or it's like, look, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. And they'll be like, bitch, cunt, you're terrible, you're ugly anyway, and I didn't want you anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you start getting that abusive to somebody and start calling people names and getting all angry because you know, got rejected on a dating website, then, you know, you're not a nice guy and you're probably an abusive guy. So to answer that question, those so-called good guys are going to be out there and they're going to be talking about things, and they're going to be, you know, they'll be pretending to be good, but if they actually are abusive people and are not going to speak out against abuse because they themselves know that they are abusive people. But even the people who you might look at normally and say, oh, here's a good person, here's somebody who's not going to treat people like crap, here's somebody who's going to value people who are women for their life experiences. These are people who, you know, in other forms, if they're not marginalized and oppressed, they're going to listen to and respect and help amplify the voices of others. Like, you know, there are people who will do that, you know, who will try and do all the right things and who may actually check all the boxes, but who are too afraid to speak out against their friends. They're too afraid to speak out. Like, let's say their friend says something toxic and terrible. You know, a lot of so-called, you know, other good guys who normally check all the boxes might be like, well, I don't know if I want to cause a ruckus. I don't want to split up the friendship over this. Like, you know, and you should be willing to. You should be willing to break up with, or eliminate any friendship with anybody if they start doing some toxic shit. And if they won't speak out. I mean, some people just don't have the ability to speak out, and that's fine. But if they're not going to see something wrong and then act on it or speak up about it or say, look, I felt guilty as shit one time because there was one time when we were at karaoke. And I was with a couple of people who are, you know, trans folk who were, you know, one of them's non-binary, you know, but still considered trans because they're not the gender that's listed on their birth certificate. So the person made a terrible trans joke or whatever before singing one of his songs. And I was pissed off, but I stayed silent. And I posted it outwardly. I was like, on my Facebook page, and I was like, look, I want to apologize to the people who I was hanging out with last night because somebody made a transphobic comment before they started their karaoke song, and I should have spoken up and said something, and I didn't. And I apologize, and I will do better. So from that point on, I basically said, if I see something terrible going on, I am going to speak up because I'm going to use my privilege and my voice to be able to help other people, because the feeling that I felt afterwards for not standing up for my friends, and I don't know why I didn't do it. I just, you know, was just sitting there shaking my head at them, but I don't know why it didn't happen. But the feeling that I felt afterward that I allowed my people, my friends, my good friends, to have shitty things be said about them and not speak up, that made me feel like shit. I felt like a terrible person, and I apologized for it, and I'm, always trying to do better. Again, nobody's going to be perfect. A lot of times, guys will get criticisms like, oh, now you're expecting me to be perfect. No, nobody is expected to be perfect. But what we do expect is that when you make a mistake, that you own up to it, you admit to it, and you try and do better the next time. And that's the only thing that I can do. And then it's not my job to determine whether or not I'm doing better the next time. Again, it is the job of the other people to determine, yes, you are doing better, or no, you have room for improvement still. Or maybe you're doing marginally better, but you still have room for improvement. And if you're a good guy, you should be willing to accept any suggestions on room for improvement, as long as they're given in good faith. Some people don't give good faith, are just shitty people in general. But again, you should generally be open to be wanting to improve yourself and listen to the advice of other people who say, hey, this is how you can improve. But I think there are a lot of people who might, again, check all the boxes for being good guys. There might be a bunch of people who, the reason why they don't act up is they don't want to be ostracized, they don't want to be shunned, they don't want to take that risk. They don't want to take the risk. For example, let's say you're in a group of 10 guys, and one guy says something shitty, and then a couple of them are laughing, or maybe a lot of them are laughing. And the more of them that are laughing at the something shitty that was being said, the less likely that you as an individual will probably think to be like, you know what, hey, this is not cool, this is not okay, and afraid to speak up because they're afraid that they'll then be ostracized from the group and no longer be able to hang out with their friends. Now, of course, with friends like those who might laugh at terrible things, who needs an enemy? But sometimes it's good to purge your friends list of people who are terrible people and who make horrible comments. Sometimes that's a good thing to do, but I understand the idea that you might not want to be ostracized from a group that you're with. Now, if you happen to be with a group of good people and somebody says something that's bad, and if they're a good person, just not understanding or maybe not knowing that what they're saying is hurtful or unfortunate or whatever. I would think that they would know it's racist or whatever, but sometimes people don't realize what they're doing is harmful to others, and as long as they're open to it, but you should be in a group of people that says, hey, look, even if you took them aside and be like, hey, I want to talk to you about this comment. I know a lot of people laughed, but here's why I had a problem with it. So maybe next time we don't do anything like that. But again, even the people who are laughing were egging on and endorsing those comments that are reviewed as, that you're reviewing as being terrible. So the risk of being ostracized, the risk of losing your friend group is probably why many of these people don't bother to speak up. But again, and that's harmful because all that ends up doing is allowing the toxic behavior to spread, whereas you could have just nipped it in the bud by saying, look, this is wrong, and either lose those people as friends, or hopefully it would be an opportunity of where they could learn and they can understand. Of course, I'm holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath on some people learning and understanding. There's a whole bunch of people who will never learn and who will never understand, and those people typically are unvaccinated and wear red hats, right? So let's see. I don't know if that answered it enough or right or well enough for you, but I hope it gave a good, look as to why perhaps guys might, act in the way and not speak up when they see harms and wrongs, whatever. Of course, clearly, we here at Liberal Dan Radio talk from left, that's right. We do speak out against injustices and harms and shitty men being shitty people. That's why we have the Unraveling Toxic Masculinity playlist. I still have another one of those to upload. I think I've forgotten it. It's probably buried somewhere in my videos. I need to go find it now. So that's why we do that. That's why we make it a point to show that this is why this behavior is toxic. This is why this is not a good thing to do, and this is why we need to reject it as a society. But me speaking out loud to at most 1,000 people who are, most, what do I have, 1,600 people who are subs right now, and to at most, the amount of people that are seeing this, slim to none, or relatively speaking, but hopefully I can have an effect on some people that might give somebody else an idea, oh, well, this is how maybe I should go about telling and confronting those people who I believe are my friends, are, that what they're saying and what they're doing is not cool. And if they are really your friends, they would listen to you and respect your opinion. So, let's see, Occupy Democrats, the top counterterrorism official has been discovered as a sugar baby. Sorry about the partial link. Yeah, we just talked. Did you miss that, Alyosha? We literally just talked about that. I literally just did a whole bit on that. Are you just confirming that happened from Occupy Democrats? Because yeah, we were talking about that a good bit. So appreciate you coming in and giving links and giving information about what goes on if something's breaking. I absolutely want to see if something is breaking so we can cover it immediately. Hey James, good to see you. But again, we did already talk about that. But that'll be in the clips, I'm sure. Let's see. Bad communication skills and bullying are unfortunately a mainstay for management in many companies. That's probably a very true statement as well. Big Hook. Lots of CEOs are psychopaths. I can see it. A little slow. Bad timing. That's fine. Again, I'm thankful that you want to give me information on the show. I'm just saying that we already did cover it. So, and I'm just kind of picking on you a little bit too over the fact that we did talk about it. So, let's see. I feel it's better to say few things because not everyone will appreciate knowledge and wisdom of the person. I mean, I could see that, but to me, the more privilege that one has, the more the more I expect that person to speak up and use that privilege to speak out and speak in defense of folks who are marginalized and oppressed. Like, I can speak out against fact shaming, fine, but since I'm also obese, it's going to have less of an impact. Whereas potentially, I might have an impact if I fall on you, but oh wait, that deserves Anyway, I might have an impact if I fall on you, but I'm not necessarily going to have an impact of me being an obese person confronting you. Now, I have had people, call me fat on the street, and I'll be like, I may be fat, but, I can lose weight. You have lost the brain cells, and you can't regrow them, or some comment similar to that effect. But it would be more beneficial if somebody in that situation who saw it, who wasn't obese, could have been like, hey, dude, fat shaming is not cool. Maybe explain to them that, there's a large correlation between people who are abused as kids and people who are obese, and as such, you shouldn't be mocking people for being fat because maybe that person is somebody who is one of those people who were abused as kids, and as such had to deal with that, either pain or shame or whatever by stuffing their faces with cookies, candies, cake, etc., sodas, etc. So yeah. Steve, breaking my heart. Why is your heart breaking? Do I have to start singing, unbreak my heart, say you love me again, undo this hurt that you caused when you walked out the door and walked out of my life. Anyway, psychopaths will often say it isn't personal, it's just business. Yeah, pretty much. If you don't give a shit about the harm that you do, and you're just worried about business and not causing and making sure to not cause harm while doing business, then yeah, you're probably aptly correct talked about as a psychopath. So, but anyway, but yeah, so so if I'm in a situation where I see somebody who's being shitty about, against, black people or Hispanic people, LGBTQA folks, I do identify as pan, but I still have some, I'm still perceived, I think, publicly as somebody who is, because I'm in a heterosexual relationship, and, it's kind of, bi-panphobic to suggest that just because someone's in a heterosexual relationship that they're not attracted to other people. That being said, I think all of the people I've ever been with that I know of at least are all have people who were assigned female at birth, but just, some non-binary people, a trans man or whatever. That's why again, too much information on that. I'm going off topic or whatever. Point is that, even though I am identified as pan, I still necessarily consider myself as having sort of straight privilege because I appear that way. Just like I have white privilege despite the fact that I'm Jewish and most of the white supremacists don't like Jews, but I have white privilege because I don't necessarily look Jewish, and as such, people aren't going to assume so. Once they find out, then maybe I lose a little bit, because of the fact that I'm Jewish, but still, I still appear white, so as such, I'm going to have white privilege. So, if I see somebody on, dealing with somebody on their ethnicity, if I see somebody, based on gender, and being treated wrong, then it should be my responsibility and the responsibility of others like me to speak up and say something and use my privilege to help others out, because those people who are not privileged might feel less capable of doing so. Not that they're incapable, but they might feel less brave in doing it because they don't want to, suffer already because they're already suffering enough, right? Anyway. Liberal Dan, you're an ominous guy with a scary loud voice. At least I'm not anonymous. Anonymous. Senate Democrats. Here we go. Another breaking news. Break into action and urge the U.S. Postal Service to rebel against Trump's illegal executive order on mail-in ballots. This is exactly the kind of fighting spirit we need. Like the president of Postal Service has no authority to regulate the manner of voting in federal elections, nor who is eligible to vote by mail in such elections, wrote 37 senators in a letter to USPS. They urge the agency to follow. Yeah, exactly. That absolutely, you know, there's so much bullshit that goes on with the post office. Like people complain about the post office being insolvent or being close to insolvent or whatever. Part of the reason that the post office is would ever have financial problems is because they have a requirement to cover unfunded liabilities and to make sure that all of the liabilities for retirement benefits for their pension plans are paid out well into the future, like 75 years into the future or some shit like that. Like that's how, like no other company is required to do this. But the post office is. So, and who did that? It was the Congress in 2005. And who was in charge in 2005? The Republicans. So it's something that the Republicans did. And then they complained about the post office having financial issues. You're the one who caused the financial issues at the post office. But absolutely, there should be nothing. The post office should not be able to not deliver mail-in ballots. They should have to do so because it's mailed. And Trump should have no ability to change that, especially with a simple executive order. So, yeah, exactly. They want to privatize the whole. They want to privatize the post office. They want to privatize elections. They want to privatize many things, when many things that should be public goods. So, anyway. Let's see. Whack P had pizza for dinner. I'm starting to get hungry now. I'm also smelling food through my vent, so I'm also getting hungry that way. Pizza Hut started carrying that sauce. It certainly has a kick to it. What, the Carolina Reaper sauce? Or ghost pepper sauce on top of pizza. I've had hot sauce on pizza. I usually put the chili flakes on the pizza. That's usually how I make the pizza spicy. But I usually put a lot of them on it. So, let's see. But I hope I don't scare you from a distance, Catherine. You said I'm a guy with a scary loud voice. Hopefully not. But maybe that's why I can speak out, is because I'm an ominous guy. I'm a big guy and I have a big voice and I can be very loud. But there was one time where I was fussing at my kid, and like I was very upset with their lack of help. I think back during Cassie's first. No, I don't even think Cassie. I think Cassie might have been home. There was something that they weren't doing that I was very pissed off about. And I think Henry was away at a sleepaway or something, so I only had Thomas there, and I was just irate. And I was speaking very sternly to my child about all the things that, you know, I was pissed off about as it pertained to the things that they weren't doing for the house, that they needed to be doing. I also made sure to sit in this chair and keep my ass firmly and flat on the chair at all times, because I didn't want to seem threatening to him physically. I wanted him to listen to me, and, you know, a lot of times he doesn't listen, so I wanted him to listen to me, but I made sure to stay seated at a distance, and so that it couldn't even be interpreted by him that I was being aggressive or whatever, because I don't want to teach that type of parenting style to him either. Don't want to teach him that being aggressive like that is okay. You can be aggressive and defensive people, but you shouldn't be, like, you know, outwardly, like, in people's faces and all that sort of stuff, especially when they're not, you know, threatening you first. So I wanted to teach him that lesson while also explaining to him my disappointment and frustrations. So that's the kind of things you need to do as a parent. Unfortunately, I'm hearing of many parents that are not raising their kids properly. It's not my job to tell too much, but somebody that I know, her 17-year-old daughter was a victim of a crime at a party while drunk. Just leave it at that. And then other people like mocked her for it, and they took a picture of something, which should be illegal, and somebody should be going to jail for that. Somebody should be going for prison for that shit. But like there's like this joint just cooperation of just harassment. They just, oh, go talk to this person, and, you know, go talk to this person, and then, oh, you're going to harass her, then you're going to treat her like shit, and you're going to put her more into a deeper depression. It's horrific that these people are doing this, and this is all in a conservative area. I'm sure most of these people are conservatives. Most of these people are good Americans. They're Trump lover, MAGA flag wearing, unvaccinated shitbags who are also backing up their shit stain of kids. So, the things that I see that these parents that are allowing these kids to do, and how terrible these parents are allowing kids to be, they're just not setting an example at all. And it's gross and it's wrong. One of the reasons I made my Unraveling Toxic Masculinity playlist is simply because of the fact that, if for some reason I passed away and couldn't pass this information off to my kids, they could go watch those videos themselves and be like, oh, this is what daddy says about this. This is what daddy says about that. So they would have an ability for me to teach them beyond the grave or what have you. So, of course, give it a few years and I'll be able to make an AI daddy who will, not a sugar daddy type thing, mind you. We're not going back to the whole sugar daddy thing, but make a father figure based off of your looks with your voice that is AI, that will, impart knowledge and wisdom to your kids as you. So, anyway. Trump administration reaches a $1.25 million settlement with ex-Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Let's see. Literally, a loud, booming voice is all that's needed. It's a compliment. Okay, well, appreciate the compliment then. And some people like my loud, booming voice. Cassie, when we were dating, I would be calling into this one radio show, and her boss at the time was a very conservative person and loved listening to that station. But every time I would call into that show, which is a different show than Jeff's show, every time I would call into that show, she would always comment about how nice my voice is. So I was like, haha, your conservative boss thinks my voice is sexy. Haha. I've been told I have a voice for radio. At least I haven't been told I have a face for radio. So it's one of the reasons I decided I like to do this, because, and I could do I could do radio voice too. Hey, I could do like that type of voice as well. But it's strong projecting voice. My only thing that I wish I could fix is I wish I could get rid of as many ums as I do. I do a lot of ums. The amount of ums that I do. I have so many ums. No one has better ums. No one has more ums than I do. I have ums like no one can believe. Anyway. Let's see. Treva, good to see you. Sorry, Treva, that we're about to wrap up. But thank you for joining the show. Appreciate you for coming in. Make sure you can rewind and watch the beginning of the show. I mean, that's always a possibility that you can do if you missed the show. But anyway, so yeah, it's 9:30. I'm tired. I want to go to bed earlier, and hopefully once Tuesday rolls around, I'll have fewer amounts of time that I'll have to worry about waking up, early and not getting as much sleep. But, until that happens, until, I guess Tuesday, which is the tentative time that she's going to be coming home, I still have to be waking up in the morning, making sure my kids get off to school, and making sure that, I get all my work done over the course of the day, which usually means not taking a break while I am dealing with getting Cassie, getting to the hospital, making sure Cassie has what she needs, etc., being a good advocate for her, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, yeah, rants about ums, immediately says yes, and was about to read your comment and says right before I read your comment about me ranting about ums. So ums. Anyway, can we all just go to Aldi's? Jackie is dancing. Yes, let's go to all these locations. Anywho, so we Treva makes the face for radio comment. Yeah, face for radio would mean I'm ugly, and I don't necessarily think I'm the most attractive person in the world, but I think I can plainly say that enough people have told me that I'm cute, that are not related to me, that I'll agree that I'm not ugly, right? So anywho, let's go ahead and face for radio, haha, I'm slow. Thank you, Jolie. I appreciate you. And you are an awesome mod. Our mods are some awesome mods. To rip off Christianity, I guess, right? That should be like a small clip of me just going, our mods is or is it our mod is an awesome mod? Would it make more sense to do it singular and just play it for either of them? Our mod is an awesome mod. Anyway, big hook. Beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. Yes, that's how the saying goes, right? It's very nice to see you as well, P-Dub. So anyway, we're going to end this week's episode, or this week. Wow, I haven't said this week in forever. I haven't had a one show a week show in a long time. But we're going to end today's episode of Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left. That's right. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, help other people subscribe, encourage them to do so, have them help the algorithm, because the algorithm needs more rhythm. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. If there's ever a time that I have to miss a show, I'll post it to all my social media channels. I'll let Andrea know. I'll let the mod squad know. I'll let other people know. Let them know, hey, there's no show today. Just spread the word. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you. We'll listen to, of course, a few tunes as we head out the door. Peace.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages already reviewed. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. He said people don't realize Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, drug nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Obama's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. Univision, AP, the fact check crew. Oh, acting all surprised that the sky is blue. It wasn't no secret. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologists blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed. No wonder when the virus spread, he the one who missed it. Spread them out, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. Oh, the lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveiled oxygen like contraband air. Like 6 there. You sat down, claiming to discover chairs. War called money was his big surprise. Iraq has oil. Can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided. A surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. The Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators.
I like turtles.
was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, might go and flip. Had Biden done it, well, numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason if Joe's the name is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, might go and flip. Had Biden done it, well, numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Boxes of documents stacked floor to the wall. Top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't beat. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A payout in secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights rolled back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.